Reminder, the Foley Field press box is open for you to work if you care to go over there when we're done here. Get a few opening remarks maybe from Coach Smart on the scrimmage. Then we'll take your questions and raise your hand, and we'll get one of the remote microphones to you. And a reminder, no live streaming, please. All right.
Thanks, Claude. First off, I want to thank the group from Operation Teammate. We had them post-practice and kind of made it an annual tradition to spend some time with the military families who've been separated from their kids and serve our country. And I know they're not out there for the entire scrimmage because I don't know that they could handle the heat and being out there that long, but they come towards the end, and our players get to interact with them, and certainly want to thank the people that serve our country and come to our practices. So that's a big plus for our players to kind of get to thank somebody else. I was very pleased with the improvement from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. I thought that the last week's scrimmage was not really up to the standard of what we need. I thought this scrimmage 2 was probably behind where we've been the last 2 years on scrimmage 2, but a lot further than we were on scrimmage 1. So the progress we made was good, but we're not where we need to be. It was not real hot out there. I thought it was warm, but it was nowhere near what it was the week before. So the competition and ability to sustain was much better. So I was proud of that. I thought the offense started faster, made a few more explosives. But you know how that is in scrimmage. When that happens, it means somebody else is giving them up too. We kind of finished up through camp. This marks the last of what I consider to be camp. Moving forward, I think we'll have 4 or 5 maybe practices in the next 8 days. So there's more time for recovery, but not time for relaxing. If anything, we've got to secure some more spots, so a couple spots still up for grabs, and then really hone in on who our special teams and travel roster guys are going to be. So we're 2 weeks away from kickoff, and we're not where we need to be, but we're competing, and I want to see some more improvement. But I did see improvement from scrimmage 1 to 2.
Questions?
Kirby, when we talked to you last week, you were asked about readiness, if there was any one group that really caught your eye. It didn't really sound like in scrimmage 1. Scrimmage 2, was there any of those position groups that caught your eye with how they went about practice and how they went through that scrimmage?
Yeah, I think I can't say one position group stood out over another in terms of readiness. They came out ready to scrimmage today. There was a lot better energy and enthusiasm, competes, even though they've been through another grind of a week of practice, but just the overall energy and enthusiasm was better. I think it's easier to do that when you don't have the heat. So I don't think one group stood out over another.
Yeah, Coach, you've obviously had quarterback battles go well into camp in years prior. Last year you had a kind of a known starter coming into the year. Is there any difference, in knowing who your guy is versus having an open competition like this going into week 1?
Yeah, there's a difference between last year Stetson was our starting quarterback. Carson Beck is going to be our starting quarterback. He's done the best job. We've communicated that earlier in the week to the other quarterbacks, and we've kind of been operating that way. And the other guys have done a tremendous job in terms of competing, and they're going to continue to do that. We haven't said anything in terms of who the second quarterback is or how those reps are going to be divvied up, but Carson is ahead of the other guys in terms of what he understands about the offense. I'll be honest with you, I was really impressed with the other 2 quarterbacks throughout camp, how far they've come in terms of improvement. Coach Bobo has done a great job with those guys, and they both made a lot of plays with their feet and done some good things. Carson's been in this offense for a year over one of them and 2 years over Gunner, and he's just ahead. So he'll be our starting quarterback. As far as the other guys, I'm excited to see those guys hopefully have an opportunity to play, compete. They'll be able to go with the ones here in the next 2 weeks some and get more reps and figure out even if we have a 2, who that's going to be and how it's going to go forward.
Kirby, with Carson, I know it's a small sample size since you let them know that he's going to be the starter, but so far and through this scrimmage, how do you feel like he has handled it and what he's done in the time since you told him?
Hasn't changed much. I mean, I think he understood. He got a pretty good volume of those reps anyway. He's done well prior to knowing that, and he's done well post knowing that. And to be honest, both Gunner and Brock have too. They've done a tremendous job of growing and continuing to put the offense in positions to be successful and make explosive plays. So they've all done a good job of that.
Kirby, for Dominic Lovitz continue to make plays, and kind of has too. Is that moved beyond a little bit, like kind of a nice spring story to a guy that could really contribute? What does that say that two kind of slot-ish, speedy guys are probably going to be involved a lot?
Well, they're more similar than they are different. So they both have redeeming qualities in quickness and getting the ball, making touches. So they're not physically imposing blockers. They both are willing blockers, and they're both really tough. They'll stick their face in there, and you're not going to be in our program or rep at our practices if you're not willing to go block somebody or play on the special teams. So both those guys have bought into the special teams and the blocking when they don't have the ball. When they do have the ball, they've made some good plays. So we have to find a way to utilize each of their skill sets, and they complement each other in terms of keeping each other fresh. The other guy's Anthony Evans, who's played in the slot, and he's different than those guys, and he's made some plays. So I'm very pleased with where they are. We got to continue to get more out of those guys.
Kirby, what is the outlook on getting Lawson back?
It's week to week. I mean, I won't know exactly what it is. We've had Arian came back in 3 to 4 weeks from a similar injury, but we've had guys take 5 weeks. We've had guys take 6 weeks. So I can't tell you that. I don't know. It'll be how he handles it and the pain tolerance and the recovery. But we're going to Ron and the medical staff's going to do the best job they can to get him back.
What have you felt like you've learned about your football team through 2 weeks of fall camp as you head into what is, I guess, the difference between scout team and, I guess, a travel team?
Ask that question again. I'm not sure. You got me when you said the scout team and the travel team.
Yeah, you mentioned this is the end of fall camp. I guess explain the difference as fall camp wraps up. We start preparing for an actual football week of practice, and what have you learned about your football team?
Well, we'll start the week of practice for UT Martin around Thursday or Friday, so we have work to be done before that. It's just not camp mode. The players will be really off tomorrow. We'll have a really light day Monday in which we just put the scrimmage to bed. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll work on other teams we play outside of our first opponent. So we'll continue to work to improve our roster, get some guys back who've been dinged up, and try to get those guys some more camp-type practices. But we won't really divide up and get ready for UT Martin until the end of the week.
Yeah, just about injuries. What's the status of Shamel London, Branson Robinson, Kenna Milton, and Janelle Guerrero?
They're all day to day. I don't know really what to tell you. Smile's running really fast. He's exercising. He is not practicing. He will be able to do some drill work Monday. He's come along really well. He's very, very passionate about getting back, and he's not sore. He's running, and the first test of that foot is how much soreness comes when he runs, and he's been great. Kendall has been hitting higher speeds. He was not able to go today. I think he's really close, but he's been out for a while. Jonell's got a hamstring, grade 1, so I don't know when he'll be back. And there was one other one.
Branson?
Yeah, Branson's been doing more each day in practice. I mean, he basically scrimmaged today without carrying the ball. He was in on plays, did pass pro, ran routes, caught balls. I mean, he looks pretty good out there, but we have not tackled him live.
Kirby, I got a two-parter. One is, I don't know if it's kind of silly, but the other day Jalen Walker had a quote where he said that Georgia looks to make history every day. I wondered if that's a Kirbyism we just hadn't heard yet, or if he came up with that on his own. And then second, will we see two quarterbacks play? Is there been any determination if you'll play two quarterbacks early in the year in games?
Yeah, that I saw where Jalen said that. That was good. I didn't have anything to do with that. Jalen came up with that himself, and he continues to work really hard and is one of the leaders of our team. The decision about the quarterback is really about who the starter is, and we haven't talked even beyond that. I mean, that's not the conversation. We've got two really talented young quarterbacks who are coming along and getting better, and we want to keep that growth going. The only way you keep that growth going is you continue to get those guys really quality reps, and I think that's one of the greatest separators in every program in the country is who's able to get quality reps for their 2s and 3s from this point forward. Because if you don't get quality reps, you can regress, and I want those two guys to keep growing and keep competing, and they challenge each other every day. All three of those guys do, and they do some really nice things.
Coach, how was Andrew Paul doing as far as being able to sustain maybe a little bit more than he was when camp first started? And also kind of where Jackson Beeks is right now?
Andrew Paul has been good. I wouldn't say he's 100%. He's a post-ACL knee, and I guess he's at a year. I don't know if it was a year today or a year last scrimmage it happened, but he looks better and better, and he's more and more confident in the system. He still makes mistakes. Made a mistake today, and he'll learn from it. He'll grow from it. That's why we practice. So hopefully he'll be 100% by the time the first game gets here. But the running back position has been a work in progress. We're trying to get healthy guys. They're going to get to play behind a really good offensive line, some good tight ends, and a quarterback that's going to be able to help them. But we need to get production out of that position. Jackson Meeks is probably 2 weeks from when he got injured. We think we can get him back. So we're hoping to get him back for the first game because it was earlier last week.
What happened to him?
He's got a fifth metatarsal stress fracture. Not a fracture. He's just got a stress reaction.
Earlier in camp, you talked about defensive line and particularly the depth there. Through 2 scrimmages, what have you seen from that defensive line, particularly when it comes to depth, the guys that you have in there?
Yeah, we're not as deep as we've been. We don't have the depth that we probably have had. Maybe that's a luxury compared to other people. I don't know. I think we've got to get deeper at that position, and the only way to get deeper at the position, you can't get anybody at this point. There's nobody coming out for waivers. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to grow the younger players and get your older players to play at a higher level and even be able to play more snaps. So without the same depth we had last year, we're going to have to be in better shape, and we got to get the freshmen ready to play.
Yeah, I know you touched on it earlier in the press conference, but your special teams battle, specifically at kicker, how have Joe Zirkle and Peyton Woodring looked so far, and when do you expect to have a decision on that?
No outline for the time. One was 3 for 3, one was 3 for 4 today. I thought they both kicked much better than what they did last week. Conditions were a little better today. They kicked better throughout the week. They're both talented guys. I mean, I could make a case for both of them, either one of them, to start right now. And I don't know how they kicked off. I don't know the numbers on that. I put a lot of thought into that, and also hang times, and I don't know what that was. But they both had a really good fall camp, and we don't have to make a decision right now on that.
You might have mentioned it earlier, but I might have missed it. Ernest Green, was he banged up today, and how's Austin coming back with him? Let me ask you about the cornerbacks as well. What's it looking there for the competition to start?
Austin, you said?
Yeah, Austin and Ernest and the cornerbacks.
Yeah, Ernest got a little banged up today. He went back in and played, so I don't know how serious it was. Then he didn't. He had his ankle, so I don't know if it was high ankle or low ankle, but he felt like he was hurt. He came back play. He played about 10, 11 plays. Then it bothered him, and we shut him down. Truss got dinged up on the same play. Truss went out. Truss came back and played. So, I mean, both those guys came back and played, and I think they're okay. But I don't, I know more on tomorrow. Lasky played today, so he was good. He's been dealing with the heat and things like that, but he played.
I'm sorry, I was asking about the cornerbacks also. Opposite Lassiter, what's it look like the competition there?
All those guys are competing. You got Dalen, Julio, and Nyland all rolling and playing primarily with the ones. AJ's gotten a few reps with the ones, so those 4 guys will continue to battle it out. There's no reason to make a decision because we've got competitive practices Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, all the next week, and if nobody's a clear-cut guy, then we'll play multiple guys until we figure it out. But we're waiting for somebody to step up and take it, and that hadn't happened.
Hey Kirby, I remember talking to Stetson last season, I think it was after the Vanderbilt game, and he just kind of commented on how Carson had already had so much experience in the offense that even though Stetson was starting, Carson really knew the offense even at that point. How much have you seen Carson's experience and just time in the offense factor into how comfortable he is leading things?
Yeah, that's the greatest separator of he and the other two quarterbacks is his comfort level with the offense. And when you have the extra spring and extra fall that those two guys don't have, that rep volume is kind of the separator. I mean, he's had an ability to understand a little bit when the defense is doing this and we're in this, I need an answer. And he's had good answers. But the two young ones have done a great job. They both made really good checks today when they saw things. And, you know, it's a little hard to judge when you're going against a defense that does everything. We have a lot of volume on our defense, and we throw it at them. And we have a lot of volume on our offense, and we throw it at them. So it's challenging, and Carson can handle that really well. When you get down to a game plan week and you say, okay, we're only going to take this 65% of our offense, and defense only does so much, you know, you're not asking those quarterbacks to make as many decisions. But Carson is very knowledgeable, very intelligent, one of the smartest quarterbacks I've been around when it comes to being able to handle the volume of offense we do, combined with the defense we throw at him.
Was Kamari able to go today, and how is he coming along?
Kamari wore a black shirt. That just prevents him from getting quite as much what we call load. When you're a corner and you've got a foot ankle injury, it's hard to, you know, you either can play or you can't. So he took the volume of reps and he covered and played. But if he had anywhere he made a tackle, he would tag off. But he felt very good. He's been tender and sore after he practices, so he's kind of been a day on, a day off, a day on, a day off. But we're doing what the doctors say and bringing him back slowly and listening to his body.
Got time for two more questions?
Kirby, you kind of grouped Gunner and Brock in the conversation. Obviously, Carson named Stark. Can you give us some idea of what those two have done well, specifically, other than in just general terms, how they've grown, what kind of play making you've seen from them?
Yeah, I kind of hit on it, I feel like 6 or 7 times in this conversation, but I'll be glad to hit on it again. They both have made plays. They've made plays with their feet. They both made good checks today. I think I just mentioned that. They have made good decisions. It's really, I mean, I have complete confidence we can win football games with both those guys. Carson's just ahead of them right now. And I want to continue to grow both those guys because they're like sponges, man. They're picking it up. They're getting it. They understand it. They know where to go with the ball. I mean, they've done some good things. It's the few plays where things break down or, you know, a guy doesn't do the right thing with them. The offensive player doesn't do the right thing, and now a little bit panic mode hits, and, you know, they got to learn to give up on a play sometimes and not try to make it spectacular and just play for the next down.
Last question, anybody?
Thanks, guys.
All right.